Welcome to the whitest house. Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. Except the blood of the poor and the wicked mouth. The last gas of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the whitest house, where every room is a tomb that they lie about. Where you can put your filthy feet on the finest couch, and for the right amount, you can even buy it out.
That's the essence of your entire political identity. You might be a white supremacist.
Hey.
Cheers, everybody, and welcome to another Jasiri-less episode of This Week in White Supremacy. I want to let you know something. I fired Jasiri. He's gone.
Breaking news alert.
He's moving to San Diego, and he's gonna farm avocados, and that's his new thing. So he's just gonna be like selling avocados, and you know what
the
I mean?
Lies.
He's gonna be getting to the guac. You know what I'm saying?
You tune into your own show and realize you got fired. Like,
how you gonna get fired on your day off? Well, as you can see, we are the Wonder Twins. We are here in harmony, bringing you the latest and greatest, or is it the latest and worst in white supremacy? Which one would it be?
The latest and most disappointing?
Latest and most disappointing in white supremacy. And we have a lot. And we are joined by a hidden character.
Yeah, it's Treble and the list over here. You know, just back on my hidden shit.
So, you know, it's Treble nonetheless. Never lose sight. You know what I'm saying? I'm live.
No, hold on. Put some respect on your name, bro.
Oh, you know, Emmy award-winning Treble nonetheless.
Treble and LS.
Yes, we are out here. You feel me?
Niggas love superlatives.
you know he was in his bathroom this morning. Like, I got it for the intro. It is okay.
Niggas love superlatives, man. So for those who don't know, Treble, talk about it. I hate talking about people, you know what I mean, while they're there. Go ahead.
I appreciate
like you're not in the room.
So, just to let y'all know, I did a poem last year for the very first Pittsburgh protest that erupted for the death of George Floyd. My man Ryan Lowe from Public Source hits me on IG. He's like, yo, I want to do a video to it. I'm like, cool. We do the video. It drops. Fast forward Saturday, we find out it's Emmy award winning. So now I'm out here with an Emmy. You know what I'm saying? At 25, pretty early. I didn't expect it to happen so early.
My brother won an Emmy.
A motherfucking Emmy right there in that office.
That's so dope. Yes, we were confident about the whole time. We were like, yo, he's definitely gonna win. But yeah, so
that.
Emmy award winning, and we would also like to commend ourselves for being recipients of the first ever Jordan Brand grant. Us and a slew of other Black organizations in the country were identified as pillars of the Black community, and Jordan Brand saw fit to give us some money. We didn't get any sneakers, unfortunately, but soon come. You know, so that's going to take us into this week in white supremacy, and white folks, per usual, not just white folks.
It's everybody.
Everybody.
White supremacy impacts all of us.
The whole world.
Even Will Smith, bro.
I mean, I guess that's where we're going. Parents just don't understand, man.
They don't.
Parents just don't understand. Apparently, Will Smith was not pleased with the language around defund the police and thought that we should come up with a better slogan around defunding the police.
What did Obama say? It was snappy.
It was snappy. It was defund the police was very snappy. But apparently Will Smith didn't like that. To which I respond, shut the fuck up, Will Smith.
Okay.
Dummies.
Okay. I mean, like,
I love Will Smith, but yo, sit this one out, bro. If this one don't involve you, like, you know, you came from West Philadelphia, right? Your whole
raised.
Right? You did an episode around the police bothering you, being pulled over for DWB until Uncle Phil came and bailed you out. And then Carlton got shot and the police were asking you all kinds of questions. You forget that? I didn't. I was there, Will. I was there. I watched. Right? I watched after Carlton got mugged at the ATM. Right? I was there, Will. Police weren't there. They wasn't going to help you anyway. And when they pulled you over for driving Uncle Phil's car, then what? They held you without representation, Will. You forget that? I didn't. I didn't. Defund them niggas, Will.
Okay.
And then I don't understand him thinking that we want to be marketable in the first place, because it's like our point isn't to market this idea.
Absolutely
Our point is to let you know exactly what it is we want, which is exactly what we said: defund the police, because clearly they are not helping us in any way. Their mission is not to aid us in any beneficial way. And they're kind of just like perpetuating the violence that we see on a day-to-day basis and making it seem like it's the community's fault, right?
Yes. So Will Smith said, I would love if we would just say defund the bad police, right?
Oh, because we can differentiate now.
We can't, apparently, it's only been a few, like 500 years. I haven't been able to do it yet.
Just a few bad apples.
It's a couple bad apples.
Just a few
the whole bunch is spoiled.
Right.
But, we're going to defund the bad ones.
Parents just don't understand.
And then he goes on to say, this is a difficult area to discuss, but I feel like the simplicity of Black Lives Matter was perfect.
Oh.
Anybody who tries to debate Black Lives Matter looks ridiculous. So when I talk about the marketing of our ideas, Black Lives Matter was perfection. From a standpoint of getting it done, Black Lives Matter gets it done. And defund the police does not. Now, I get Will's is, he's busy.
He's a capitalist.
The things are happening. But we need to rewind, because remember when Black Lives Matter was at its heyday, y'all were calling it a terrorist organization.
Come on.
Remember the Black identity extremist label was being, pitted out there, thrown out there, telling people they were going to possibly go to Guantanamo, where they're trying to put Haitian immigrants right now. But be that as it may.
Come on.
We literally told people that if they had BLM, that they were being segregationist, that they were leaving people out, they were hurting people's feelings because it said Black Lives Matter. And then we had All Lives Matter, and then we had Blue Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter was neither simple nor accepted, and it did not get the job done because police are still killing us, because the George Floyd Policing Act today did not get passed, because there is still no accountability. There is still qualified immunity. There are still officers who, even in this our local city of ours, were on these racist group chats and emails and threads, and nothing happened to them. So there is nothing that is getting the job done, because we live in the system of white supremacy. So when we say defund the police, refund the people's police, and fund communities, it is because we are saying that our lives, our Black lives matter, and they matter enough for you to invest in us. They matter enough for you to believe in us. They matter enough for you to hire us, and they matter enough for you to support us. So no, Mr. Smith, you're wrong here. But again, I give grace and love to most Black people. And so therefore I will hopefully look forward to you understanding why people do not agree with your sentiment at this time.
And that's all she got to say about that. Parents just don't understand. They just don't.
But he's going through some things. He's having these really revealing situations. And so, sometimes there's a little disconnect.
Yeah.
And so there's a little disconnect.
Normalize divorce, Will. As we normalize defunding the police.
Well, I'm not talking about personally. We shouldn't get there because, he got real money and he could shut us down and buy us out. I don't want those problems. But what I'm saying, he's a man of a certain age.
He is a man of a certain age.
And what's it? Boomers, Gen Z, Gen X,
Gen X.
Gen Xers, they believe in going with the rules and the order. And I think saying we matter Black Lives Matter is a positive right statement, and like defund the police is like you're taking something. And I think for some Black people who found like success and support in agency, feel like Black people asking for too much is something that has to be pushed back on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. We see a lot. I've had a lot of conversations with some of my older contemporaries that just don't believe the defund the police, the older Black contemporaries that just don't believe, that should be said. And it basically echoes everything Miracle said. Unfortunately, it's, they're not reading the room, and it's a terribly tone deaf response to everything that's happening. They always tend to overlook the fact that Will Smith's community doesn't have any police. His police have been defunded. They don't have, police where he lives, and he doesn't deal with the day-to-day basis of being a Black person. his fame has allowed him an agency to kind of transcend blackness to where people don't even look at him as a black person. They look at him as Will Smith, the superstar. So that's kind of the end of that. But what's very interesting about this and these Black Lives Matter issues is that a FedEx driver had had issues with houses displaying Black Lives Matter flags, so much as so he decided not to deliver their parcels, not to deliver their posts. And now, rightfully so, that nigga got fired. How you just gonna take it upon yourself to select who gets the post in their parcels? Nigga, I paid for this.
And then he goes on TikTok with it, with the FedEx shirt on, in the FedEx truck.
Like a dickhead.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, they had to have gone over this in like orientation or something. I've been through so many orientations where they're like, don't post on social media with our branding unless it is, you know, part of a marketing thing that we're doing at the location that you work at. And it's like, people are just out here doing crazy shit. You know what I'm saying?
It's,
you know what? He wanted to get fired.
He had to.
He was ready to file for unemployment because he's been listening to all these stories about how black people been living it up on unemployment. Little does he know, when you're fired for cause, you can't get unemployment.
Yeah, that's willful negligence, willful misconduct. Like, that's your fault, bro. Like, and now he's gonna blame black folks for that somehow. You know, he
probably is. You know what? I'm very disappointed that like social media has shown how many non-white but like non-black people actually hate black people there are.
Oh yeah,
you know, because it's like it was fun to be like maybe other people don't like black people.
Everybody hates black folks,
but now we see it, and it's like, sir, like FedEx, to my understanding, is a good job. They give health insurance and benefits and vacation days. And it's like, you wasted that just because you want to be hateful and spiteful. Like, oh my God. But then also, I want to know how many people didn't get their packages and FedEx was like, whatever, we don't care because this man wasn't delivering them. But also, could I say, I know this is controversial. I don't get Americans putting American flags on their property because it's not like you're going to like hit a wrong road and end up in like Mexico or Canada. Like usually, like, I don't get it because we're not like, unless you're on a border town, like you know where you are. Like flags.
America.
Flags show ownership, right? Flags let people know where the boundaries are, the borders are, like whose house this is.
This is hilarious.
But like, why in middle America do you need an American flag? Because it's like we know the jurisdiction that I personally don't get it.
There's a Family Guy episode like that.
You know, and I'm like, so sir, like you don't feel people are Americans and you're not gonna get their packages.
I
live in the country. Like I pay taxes, you know, I volunteer, like, but you're gonna say I'm not American enough because I didn't buy a piece of cloth that was probably made and manufactured in another country.
Yeah,
I don't get the.
Most American flags are actually made in China. That's the kicker. Like, that's what's funny is like, what Black Thought say? If everything was made in China, are we Chinese? Like, you know, it's like if you're displaying an American flag made in China, doesn't that technically make you Chinese?
Interesting.
I'm just asking questions.
I think what needs to happen, I think we need to like invite this parcel guy and Will Smith to a black table talk to talk about their entanglements with white supremacy.
Oh,
you know
okay. And that's why you the resident teaching artist.
Man.
You know, off the dome. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that was wow.
I feel inspired.
Yes, I'm inspired. You know, it's interesting that anytime you have these conversations about the entanglement of white supremacy, how far those webs kind of go around and like where they kind of spread out into. And you see, this is what at the very top of the show, everybody is affected and impacted by white supremacy. So much so as dog walking.
I wanted to be like, is it affected or effected? But I'm too stupid to
It's both, actually.
Know what the answer is.
Yeah, it can actually be both. It could be affected and effected. So I'll spare the English lit lesson, but it can be both.
No, public school child.
Affect is a verb. Effect is a noun.
There you go.
The affect and effect be kicking my butt like your and you be.
I'll tell you now, as an ESL kid, one that tears me up when I'm typing to this day is lose and loose. Fucks me up. Puts me in the headlock every time I try to type it. I have to proofread. Thank God I got Grammarly on my phone now, so I can be like, ooh, blah 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 blah. Like, I loose or lose. I be knowing now. I don't
It's
really
the
know.
O
But I
sound,
know.
you know what I'm saying? You gotta sound it out. Lose, that's 2 O's.
But
I mean,
then
loose is 2 O's. Lose is just
But
that one.
ooh is a long O. Ooh.
but while you're
O.
sounding stuff out, people are gonna say you're being too loud.
I'm loud, period.
And then if you're too loud,
Someone told me, I'm not gonna say who it was. Someone told me
what they tell you?
because I got big teeth, I can make soup sound crunchy.
Whoa.
It was not me this time.
It wasn't.
It was not me
but
this time because you
I
looked
laughed
at
for
me.
a
You looked at me, and then people be saying I be bullying you, and I don't. But I was saying on loudness.
Yeah, I'm loud. Yeah, I am.
I am
loud
saying on loudness, right? Imagine being loud at a dog park.
Imagine being loud. Imagine having the audacity to walk your dog at a dog park.
And then someone saying you're being too loud.
Too
And
loud.
It's not even
It's
your
almost like black people can't go to dog parks at all.
Aren't
It's like
dogs
it's not
louder than
welcome.
people?
Right?
I mean, like, I could never be louder than a dog, and I'm loud as shit.
Isn't the whole purpose of a park is to be outside and to be loud? Like,
Yes.
you take your children.
That's why we have outside voices.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that.
So you can be out here 20 people in front of me like that? Wow. It's okay.
So
Don't keep
anyways.
laughing. Go ahead. You were like to smile. Show your big teeth and smile. People like you.
So what we wanted to talk about was our Karen. Is this our Karen of the week?
It is our Karen.
Dog
It is
park
our
Karen.
Yeah, a dog park. I bet you know what though. This seems to be like a Karen's habitat. If there ever was an identifiable habitat or a breeding ground for Karens, I would expect it to be like a bike lane, a dog park, a yoga studio, or some place you can get frozen yogurt.
Victoria's Secret.
Or Whole Foods.
Listen, the dog parks are very ruthless.
Yeah.
Because you basically have to like self-regulate the dog park because you have like rules like pick up your dog's crap. Every dog had like you have to have your little collar on. So I took my collar off T'Challa because it'd be falling,
and they'd be upset.
And they'd be like, "Where's it at?" And I'd be like, "He's vaccinated. He's got his stuff. It's right here in my hand." They be regulating, but like barking.
Yeah, barking.
You're complaining that a dog is
those ghetto
barking.
dogs. Take those ghetto dogs back to the hood with you. Isn't that what happened?
I'm just the audacity,
like
caucasity,
the caucasity of all of this to try to police someone's dog's barking.
If you don't know what we're talking about, there was this man. He and his partner go to the dog park because the dog's got to do what dogs got to do, and he's accosted by this
a white woman,
a colonizer Clyde, as Azalea Banks would say.
Don't like her, but I like that.
Who's also problematic.
She's very
internalized
problematic.
white supremacy.
Come on.
Evil's be coming out. And she accosted him because she confused him with another dog owner. Is this dog
I thought
owner?
you were going to say she confused him with a dog.
No. That's a dog owner. See here.
Okay.
And
Was
said it was not Snoop.
Wow.
And in her haste to apparently regulate the dog park, she called the man ghetto. I told him to go back there.
To go back to his hood.
Off to the ghetto you go.
Hood. His neighborhood.
How do you know this isn't his hood, Karen?
Right? What if he's like one of those really rich artsy types that lives in one of those $3,000 a month lofts or something?
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Maybe that's all he knew. Maybe he was like Clay Thompson from the Golden State Warriors, who came out as his press thing. You seen that? That was an honest interview. I was like, yo, Clay, go on. Like, I honestly for a long time didn't know Clay was like biracial. I just thought he was like a white guy. Like when he first came to the league, I thought he was like Will Ferrell. You know what I mean? Like Jackie Moon and what was that? Tropic. What's the film I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
Tropic Thunder?
Not Tropic Thunder. That was Robert Downey Jr. Nah, Will Ferrell was a basketball player. And Jackie Moon and Andre 3000 was in there. I don't know. Anyway, Clay Thompson came out with an interview. He was like, I grew up.
Clay Thompson?
Clay Thompson.
You thought he was
white? Yeah, I thought he was white.
Never mind.
I just thought he was like a curly haired white guy, like a Jewish guy or something.
I had to bring it in. my joke. But it's okay.
Are you coming at me?
Nope. Because myself, I have changed. Continue on for last week. But the fact that y'all can't recognize each other, it's
not like a beacon. It's not like, like a light goes off
on
on
a
like
radar. And be like, I feel seen.
I don't have ESPN. Like if I see another light skinned person, I said that on purpose. I don't want anything I'm confusing. That's actually a movie reference. But yeah, it's not like when I see another light skinned person. Sometimes I'm not even gonna lie. Like I look at white. Like there used to be a man in my barbershop. He had locks. He was lighter than me. And he was saying nigga in the barbershop real freely. And I looked at my
you pause. You about to regulate somebody saying nigga? Let me tell you, the first or second event that we had, that I had as a One Hood employee, I almost got called to the carpet because they were like, why is this white man in here saying a nigga? And I had to explain to people that Farouk was a light-skinned black man. And you,
I got the general on my sweatshirt. Just
don't know. First of all, anyways, they don't even know who that is.
They probably don't know
and
who the general is, but
and so you were in the bar. You about to throw down the barbershop.
Yo, listen, I was about to put hands on this. I was like, I asked my barber. So here's the kicker. I asked my barber. I was like, bro, I'm like, who is this? Who the man across from us that keeps saying nigga? He's like, yo, that's my brother. Chill. I was like, oh, but my brother, I got a brother that's light like that too. So
but see, when I said we need to have a reverse paper brown test, y'all said I was being problematic.
I mean, you are.
How am I problematic?
Because I can't help what I look like.
But you were just about to regulate somebody else.
We're not talking about me. We're talking about you.
Okay.
Speaking
well, I have
regulation. I feel like it's really interesting how white people feel like they can regulate the community by assuming that black people who are
semi-pro. Thank you for everybody. Semi-pro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we had a really good comment. It said, let's talk about the fact that it was Brooklyn, which technically is his hood.
Come on, Terry.
Yeah, Karen.
Come on.
It's like, how'd you get there, Karen?
Yeah.
Question it. You know what I'm saying? But it's just it's wild to me. I feel like it really portrays white supremacy when you see people like this, Karen, walking up to a black couple, looking at them and thinking, okay, they're black. They clearly don't belong here. You know what I'm saying? And it almost makes you question why. Why do you look at a black couple and think automatically, oh, this isn't their neighborhood. They must not be from here. That's white supremacy on display like a motherfucker.
Not only white supremacy, but that's just nothing else but white supremacy. I was going to say something really, really bad, but I'm not going to.
Please don't. But let's also talk about how this person would look. She looked young. So she looked like she was a millennial, right? And so how are you moving to black neighborhoods and telling black people to go back to their hood? Mm-hmm. And also, it just reminded me of I don't know if you ever seen the Women's of Brewster plays, and the lady is just like, you don't belong here. Like, how are you telling people to get out of a dog park? And it shows once again, when we talk about the violence of gentrification, y'all just don't want to see black people around you.
That's what, and it goes so far to that as, Can we focus on something locally? A few issues locally. There was this school that I used to teach at that came to us for anti-racism training.
Speak on it.
And decided to go with a white-led organization to do their anti-racism training, only to find out that they had a principal in the midst that was a racist. So they moved her from one location to the next until last week.
What'd she do?
She happened to call a few students in the gymnasium the N-word.
Again.
Hard R?
Again, with a hard R. Not only in front of students, but teachers. And here's the kicker. She still has a job. Is anybody surprised about that? If anybody doesn't know, it's Propel Industry.
I was going to tell them to go to the KDKA link, but now we can get sued. Oh, it's okay though. Allegedly, it was there. But yes, it's kind of funny.
It is kind of funny.
It's like somehow,
some way, white supremacy with white supremacy.
But can you imagine your teacher, like you not
only your teacher, your principal,
you in the middle of a global pandemic, right?
Yes,
you're forced to go to school, risk getting the COVID, trying to just talk to your friends, and your principal is like, Negros.
Negritos. Vamos.
I'm tired of you Negros.
I'm tired of this. And it's what's unfortunate about this. We're laughing to keep from crying. This isn't the first time this has happened across the country with faculty, with administration, with parents being racially abusive to the majoritively Black school and students that they educate, quote unquote. And we've seen this at Duquesne University here in Pittsburgh, where a professor was trying to get his students to say the N-word on a Zoom call, where at other organizations and other universities, they have recorded footage of their teachers just openly saying the N-word, openly just dropping it on, their students like, hey, listen, we need to normalize the usage to take away from the lethality. No, that's not how that works. But that is a completely different beast when you, as an educator, high-level admin, are hurling racial epithets as invective against your students. That is unforgivable. And the fact that this is under a pending investigation, this person still has a job. I mean, we know what that is.
But like, they're the what's funny to me is they're the person in charge of like doing all of this education around like diversity,
right, and
inclusion. They're the person who's like critical race theory, not in my school,
right.
And again, it's like who's teaching these folks, who's training these folks? Because I love CUE at Pitt. Out there, they're on it.
Yeah, Q's dope.
Love them. But before they were there, who trained all these teachers?
Yeah.
And told them that Black people couldn't succeed and Black people were stupid and never checked their bigotry, and never told them about cultural competency, and now we got like a full-on bigot who has to like be the person who's responsible for inspiring these same kids after they call the N-word. And from my understanding, there's no therapy. There's no healing circles.
That's what I was just about to go to. Now you have to come back to school. You have to come back to the same environment where basically the top of the food chain in terms of your school hierarchy is concerned, of at least who you deal with on a day-to-day basis, has just traumatized you, victimized you, and called you a subhuman word, relegated you to something that doesn't even, garner respect. And you're supposed to want to come back to this environment and learn and be productive and be happy about being there.
And we're going to post the link to the story in the chat.
Which is
so wouldn't that count
what school? Was that the same school that had the slave day?
No, one day.
But wouldn't that count as child abuse? Ooh. Don't you have to get clearances to work with children?
That could
That's
be
verbal abuse.
Yeah, you know that absolutely could be considered child abuse. And the thing is like there is this is as normal though as white supremacy can really be, because we have a country that has founded its principles on the dehumanization of virtually every single person in the world that isn't white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. And with how do I want to say this? With the immigration services reenacting their slave master fetishes on federal dime, how can we be so shocked that the educators who are also paid and funded through federal dime and state dime aren't doing the same exact thing? They're part and parcel of the same system. Policing, education, that's why there's a school to prison pipeline. They are literally cousins. They exist in the same facet to do the same very thing. So we can't sit here and be shocked and confused and are in awe that a principal is sitting here calling students the N-word. We need some jokes to clean this up.
You know what we need is traditional Black parents who weren't afraid. You know what? Let me stop, because I know when
people don't get beat up over racism.
My dad was a lot of things. The one thing he did not play about his kids, and he will roll up to the school. When I tell you, we'd have principal shook, teacher shook, may or may not have had like a police be like, sorry, you can't do that here. Situations. That's what my dad was like, not my kids. You will not. You know what's not play with my. They had us pay like little like maids, because I went to like a little all-white school. My dad was like, not today.
No.
You were not my child.
What's wild is it's not just public schools. It's not just K through 12. There's universities pumping anti-black rhetoric to its students.
And then it's going to say, if we can't allow an educational environment you to experience racism, then where
else can you?
It's upsetting me and my homegirls that like Black people just want to go to school and get an education and not get a letter talking about they're ugly, inferior, and stupid.
University of Massachusetts Amherst had an email circulate to its Black students. Who is it from?
Allegedly a concerned white group.
A concerned white group. A concerned white group.
Allegedly.
Frustrated mayonnaise. Sent out Blanquitos. Muy.
You know what? All of our Spanish speaking fans are gonna like hit us up like y'all butchered our language this whole entire show and during Hispanic Heritage Month, and I'm just gonna apologize in advance for the pronunciation errors that have occurred so far.
I can speak Spanish.
We're not going to talk about you cosplaying in Spanish right now. We're talking about what happened at Massachusetts.
Okay. Treble, would you like to weigh in on this? Because Miracle and I think are going to have a moment.
I was wondering, what if the principal was like, Jesus Christ is my nigga? Would she still be wrong? This is an honest question from the people in the back.
Could you imagine seeing that? Was she gonna be sitting there with like that man did? I said, "There's A, there's R, there's GER," and I said, "Oh,
man, listen,
nigga."
And if you, that is a legendary interview.
Yeah. Oh, that episode was great, and then they made a Boondocks episode of it. I mean, the interview was great. So I said, what did he say? So get the pencil, nigga.
See, that's why you need cultural competency training, because let me be very frank, whether it's the HBCU or PWI, there are always people who believe that Black people are somehow inferior. So telling of all the Black people, like, if you don't want to experience racism, just go to HBCU also undermines the fact that like Black people have a right to be educated anywhere and everywhere there's education. Number one. Number two, this group decided to send a letter to all of the Black organizations, and they say it happens all the time. It's par for the course at Boston. For all we know, a person of color, a Black person could have wrote, a self-hating, internalized white supremacist Black person could have wrote the email. We have no idea.
Is Bill Cosby a white supremacist?
We're going to save that for the end.
Okay.
But this letter coming off of a time when all of these colleges are debating whether or not they should have safe spaces for people of the global majority.
Like the University of Arizona? Be back.
Yeah.
I shall return.
Like all these universities who are having conversations about whether or not they should have safe spaces for Black and brown folks and queer and trans folks, while understanding that this bigotry and this hatred is being targeted them, it makes it very unsafe for people to learn. And what is going on in our college and universities is we're literally sending our kids who have gone through decades of being ignored and devalued in middle schools and high schools to now have to deal with the same bigotry at these colleges and university campuses without the protection of community and family, and it's highly problematic. And I'm hoping that universities actually understand that white supremacy isn't going away. It's not an old thing. It's not dying. And these students are going to have to face it, and they're going to be looking to their administrations, who are hopefully not white supremacists, to fix it.
So what happened with this UMass email? Did you see it?
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to see it.
Yeah. So basically you wake up in the morning and you decide, you want to go to school, you're having a good day, and then you get a letter and it's like, hey, people, what's going on? And then let me pull it up. The letter for folks. hold on. It's going to take me a second. I threw it away. But he was basically this person. I said this person's basically
Don't be
like,
sexist.
I'm going to stop. It says, Dear Lies, hello, Black students of our campus. We look down upon you. We instantly know in all manners from your language, which most of you still speak in some form of broken Ebonics or to ghetto speak to where you're from, third world sewers in America, bought and paid for by us, the taxpayer, to how you live like hood rats, to how do you appear, fro hair, big lips, black skin. You are different. Wow. Regarding your intelligence, you're clearly stupid. And while not all students know the average IQ of a Black person is 75, it is abundantly clear that you possess a lacking intelligence along with the elementary grasp of subjects that most of us learned in high school. Herein lies the problem with your presence at our college. You simply did not get here on merit. Believe it or not, students are the only people who think this, blah, blah, blah. He also says, it's not just the students, again, he, they, whoever, but also professors and TAs. I'm sure you can see in their faces and behaviors towards you. And that is a very important point.
It is.
Because I have experienced this as well. Mm-hmm. A lot of professors resent, and remember the Penn State situation in the law school, a lot of professors who were raised in the system of white supremacy, never envisioned that at their illustrious elite colleges, they would see Black and brown faces. Mm-hmm. They just don't. And imagine, you grew up in a world where you were like, Black people are poor, they're dirty, they're ghetto, they're lazy, blah, blah, blah. And you've never surrounded yourself with Black people. You've never engaged with Black people, except for, on your Saturday mission trips where you go down to the intercity and you give people, the little hot sandwiches and stuff for your church, photo album. And you walk in and you see nothing but Black faces staring at you. You're going to resent it. You're going to be like, I'm not going to give them this, or I'm going to assume they cheated. I'm going to assume they got here by affirmative action. And because people are idiots, if you're in a college,
I never went to university.
If you're in a university, everyone takes the same entrance exams.
Yep.
Everyone does the same application process. Mm-hmm. Everyone. Do you know the people who get a benefit are the legacy kids?
Yes.
The people who pay their way.
Mediocre, like the confidence of mediocre white men with their Gentleman Seas Club and their nepotism. They walk into these universities with mediocrity reeking off their bones, with the inability to complete said entrance exams. They can't even maintain regular dean's list GPAs or any types of marks like that. They get bottom of the barrel marks, but yet Black people are the problem. Set aside for the fact that the people who benefit the most from this affirmative action program are white women. White women benefit the highest from affirmative action. So if you're going to be upset at anybody on your campus, be upset at Karen.
On top of that, what people don't understand, legacy is about nepotism, because it is this idea that academia is copy paste.
Niggas with 75 IQs wouldn't say things like nepotism, my nigga.
Are you saying I'm smart? Oh,
I'm saying we both. You read that. Oh. You read that email quite loquaciously.
Oh. I just stumble a little bit because
Well, you have a beyond beyond fundamental grasp of English lit.
Ooh.
In such.
Come through, twin.
In such, the verbiage and diction that you displayed was indicative of a higher level of education that deserves not only esteem but praise and should be awarded in halls of academia. And you should be draped in regalia of silk and frankincense and myrrh.
Okay, no, because that was Jesus and he was crucified. So I don't.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I was just trying to laud you up.
Yeah, I don't want to die.
I was just trying to laud you up.
But shout out LeVar for reading Rainbow because he helped us all. Now, Treble, you leaned
in the sky.
Yes. Yeah, I got some things on my mind. I'm not gonna lie. When you were reading that email, I couldn't help but feel bad for whoever wrote that.
Did you take a look because it was in a book? Reading Rainbow.
Anyways, so I'm thinking to myself, like, it can't be healthy for someone to hold that kind of like hatred and despise in their heart enough to type out an email, put names in the email to send it to, and then send it out for the world to see. You know what I'm saying? It's like it cannot do the heart any good to sit and just like wallow in these feelings towards black people. To
You
not
see
be
why
able
these
to see
racist
the
age, bro?
humanity.
They look 70 at 25.
And this is why white supremacy does not only harm black people. White supremacy harms everyone. Imagine the hearts of the people dying who practice white supremacy on a daily basis. I'm actually concerned for the humanity, you know, because I have a love for humans, all humans, you know, and it's like I can't look at a white supremacist and feel too much hatred, because it's like, man, like, I don't know how you grew up, bro, but like no one shows you genuine, authentic love. You know what I'm saying? These people are lacking the love that keeps me flourishing, that got me Emmy winner, made me an Emmy winner. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look at the accolades that I got through love, bro. Try it. It's good for you.
You know what?
I would push back on that and say that
Pause. You know what happened? The university put this white kid in a dorm with a bunch of black kids, and he had to hear Migos, and he was like, "If I hear this shit one more time, I'm going off." And he had to listen to the Drake mixtape and Gucci, and they're arguing about Kanye, and he said, "This is not
too much.
It was too much."
So he was quite literally feeling bad and bougie.
You just described the plot of Higher Learning.
That's basically what happened.
That's basically the plot.
And he was like, "Not again today.
Not today."
And this was like, "I'm tired of it. You're in here. You're in my space. I have to listen. I have to look at your afros. I have to smell your food.
I'm smelling like cocoa butter.
Music.
I smell like cocoa butter.
I have to see Black Card Revoke and hear you arguing about card games and stuff I've never learned about. On top of that, I have to probably have a black professor, and I'm tired of it." And he just went off. He, they, she, whatever. And that's what happened.
See,
so what's your pushback?
My pushback would be that white people have this saying of God, family, and country, right? You love your family, you love your country, and you love God. And there's nothing more ingrained in that than white supremacy. They love white supremacy. They're brought up to love white supremacy. They're brought up to love whiteness. That's why they have such a pushback, and they have such a disdain for anything that's not white. You got to keep in mind that like white folks did everything they could to protect baseball. White folks did everything they could to protect football, to protect boxing, to protect film and cinema. When Sidney Poitier was on screen with a white person, with a white woman, the vitriol and the shit that he had to deal with against that. They love racism so much. They love this that they turn Nat Turner into axle grease. They love white supremacy. They love all that shit so much is that they took the American flag and put a blue streak across it and indoctrinated a whole new level of white supremacy into that even made room for the Nazi flag. They love white supremacy so much that they were willing to go maskless against their own police officers that they went and put retroactively a blue line across their flag for in order to protest because they couldn't get haircuts and they couldn't go to the grocery store. These white folks love white supremacy and they love hatred. That's
so that raises a question in me that I had to ask myself in my prior relationship of do they love white supremacy or do they depend on it? Because those are different things.
Well, I mean, you figure you could take things for granted that you still love. Like you could love your ability to breathe until COVID-19 takes this away from you. You might not say every day, "Oh God, thank you for breath." But when COVID-19 hits you and them lungs fill up and you start dying like all these police officers and teachers that refuse to have their masks on, then it's a different story. Then you have to look at love a little bit differently. Or I depended on my lungs, but man, I never said I love them.
I would say any behavior that denies other people the access to humanity makes me question, is it love? Do they actually love white supremacy? What happened? I just went big. Was I supposed to go big? That made me feel like weird. Oh, snap. So white supremacy wasn't
white supremacy took us out, bro. Man. Come on. I was on a roll and white supremacy was like, nah, nigga.
No. But I think people have to understand that, like, when we talk about like white supremacy being like American as apple pie, it's that when any country creates like their manifest destiny, their manifestos, you have people who everyone has to be like the city on a hill.
Right.
And if there's a thing on a hill, there's also something that's being looked down upon.
Yeah, something below the hill. Right.
You know, and for the Western world, it has been Black people that have been looked down upon. And this is one of the things that when I was in law school, my professor was like, go look at the deed to if your parents own a home, apartment, go look at the deed to that land. You're only going to go back possibly to 1982, where that deed is going to say restrictive covenant, you cannot sell to Negroes.
Come on.
It's in the rules.
It's in the rules.
It is.
We don't make this up. This is your playbook we're reading from.
And it's literally governments would say Black people could not live here. The federal government, your state government, your local government, because they didn't see the value of Black people.
I would like to, if I may, I'm sorry, because I know you're on the flow, but there's something that's so interesting that I've learned about that very thing. Muhammad Ali, when he was still heavyweight champion of the world, tried to buy a home in Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and they denied him because he's Black.
Here in
Muhammad Ali, who was still heavyweight champion of the world at the time, he wanted to purchase this home because his training facility was in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. So he wanted to be somewhat close. So he said, you know what? I'm heavyweight champion of the world. I'm going to buy a house close to where I could train. Because that's only convenient, right? Why wouldn't you want to be close to the area in which you work? And they denied him because he was Black. And
just last week, they released a report that said less than 5% of the loans,
less than 5% of bank loans
in this region, in our little county, went to Black people. And the reason why, and when we talk about a system of supremacy, is the government says Black people can't live here. So then you say, you know what? I am a realtor. I am a homeowner. Where am I going to sell to?
Right.
Who am I going to sell to?
That is the question.
If I want to make my money, and then you say, well, I'm just not going to sell to Black people. And you could be the best person in the world. You can be kind. You can feed all the Bambies, play with all the kids, donate all the money. But at the end of the day, you know that you can't sell your home or you can't make a living if you sell it to a Black person. So you're not going to. And that's what a system and a cycle does. And then it comes so systemic because then realtors now coming into the market say, you know what? I looked at the report from last year. The report from last year said only 3% of these homes went to Black people. So I know if a client comes in, they're Black, they're probably not going to buy. So I'm not going to waste my time showing them homes. I'm not going to do any of the pre-work, and I'm going to go do somebody else. And that's how you get these ongoing systems. So now we don't even need restrictive covenants anymore that say Black and brown people can't live here. We have a whole system and pattern of behaviors that have the same impact and effect. And that's the way white supremacy works and becomes so insidious in our culture. And then when people hear, oh, you don't have sidewalks in your neighborhood because of white supremacy, they laugh at it. Or you have a highway in your neighborhood because of white supremacy, they don't understand
it. Or
an
airport that just completely disenfranchised an entire location of Black people, or a football stadium or a baseball stadium. All these highways and these bypasses are strategically cut through Black neighborhoods. This has been the infrastructure of American civilization since the advent of the motor vehicle. Now let me drop something else. Let me drop something else. As we were talking about prominent entertainment figures and talk show hosts and things of that nature that specifically are unique to Pittsburgh. And some of you, even though my Canadian ass is, some of you may not be familiar with Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers was a fantastic human being. Mr. Rogers had a Black person on his show that put him in a pool, naked foot to naked foot, to illustrate there's nothing wrong with sharing space with a Black person. And the pushback Mr. Rogers got, who also was a Republican, but that's neither here nor there, got over that episode. This is Mr. Rogers. This is one of the most beloved people in the history of America. The people that came out and protest against Mr. Rogers sitting next to a black person with their pants rolled up and legs both in a swimming pool, right? In Pittsburgh, lets you know exactly where Pittsburgh is with welcoming black people into the neighborhood and the desire to see them leave. Hence gentrification, and Pittsburgh being the 8th most gentrified city in the entire country. And by the end of 2021, it will be the 6th most gentrified country in hopes of catching up to Brooklyn, New York City, where that dog park Karen was. See how I just tied all that in? I should get paid to do this. Oh, I do. Never mind.
Yes, and thank you, Paula, for putting that in there. There is a documentary called the Wiley Avenue Days, and I think everyone should read that because, again, we actually do presentations on this, and so if you don't believe us, everything is Googleable. But
do your Googles.
Do your Googles. Shout out to Star. At the time that the Hill just was the most thriving, it was called the international jazz sensation, like the international birthplace
the Harlem
of
Renaissance
jazz.
Part 2.
There was a councilman that said, if you destroy the Hill, there is nothing significantly that's going to be lost from destroying this. At the time when the Hill was in its heyday. So when people hear white supremacy, they don't necessarily get it. And I think it's what Treble was saying is sometimes you're just like, I don't understand why we're calling this a white supremacist stuff. I don't understand why saying me being against critical race theory is, against white supremacy. It's because it's been so sanitized. You think you're just being a good American citizen by saying, I don't want my kids indoctrinated, not understanding and realizing that when Brown versus the Board of Education 2 happened, because there was 1 and 2 cases, what the response was to privatize education and to actually start all these certification processes to ensure that Black authors, Black teachers could not be a part of the education system. And so this has been an ongoing fight. And so when you start to read people's writings, you're like, I don't get it, until you have to go back to the 1950s and watch. And again, shout out to PBS and CNN, and I forgot what the C-SPAN. You can literally go back and watch elected officials from the 1950s and 60s argue, and you can see their hatred for Black and brown folks, and you can see the policies that they push. Of course, now people aren't calling us monkeys and the N-word and apes and gorillas.
No, they just do it through email.
They may say this is a high crime area. They may say this is, an opportunity zone. This,
up and coming neighborhood.
Right? And it signals certain things, and people can respond to that. They may say, they're not calling people deadbeat dads anymore. They may say this, this new age changed familiar structure.
Yeah.
Environment.
Single parent household.
Not
blended families.
Yes. All type of stuff. And so there's different words and catchphrases people use
dog whistle words
to say the same thing. And I will also say a lot of the racism and white supremacy comes from liberal academia, because they were taught that they were put on this earth to save
white savior complex.
Black and brown folks, not to be in community with Black and brown folks. And there's also a difference and a hatred. And that's why, even though a lot of conservative people have been banned on social media, we still see their videos, we still see their messages, because it's people who believe the same thing are amplifying it, and in the hopes that they can still share these messages without being considered racist. That's why you rarely see us, posting stuff like thoughts
and prayers.
Thoughts.
We're all thoughts and prayers out.
We're like, I feel like Treble wanted to say something, because we're running out of time and we want to talk about Cosby and R.Kelly.
I want to talk about Bill Cosby so bad.
So we're going to let Treble say something, and then we can move on to that.
So I'm going to start with, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to follow our Facebook. And I kind of wanted to segue into our Black excellence, because One Hood has been doing some amazing things lately.
We are
what, the best POC business in Pittsburgh.
One hood is Black excellence. The end.
Yes, indeed. What we got third for
We're
best Facebook
representative
page. We got
something like
Brittany
that, yeah.
Chantel is the best performing artist, best unsigned artist. We have a production called Noten, written by Kaylin Horgan, that I produced the score for as the best virtual stage production from here at the New Hazlitt Theater. You know what I'm saying? You have Treble NLS, Emmy award-winning writer. You have Ime with how many Emmys did he win on Saturday?
Oh, he won 2, but that brings him to 5 total.
Yeah, he got 5 Emmys now with 2 new wins on Saturday. We just got a whole bunch of Black excellence pouring out the lid with it. You know what I'm saying?
And as we transition from, us being Black excellence to what's the opposite of Black excellence? Can I say it?
Disappointment. Like internalized disappointment.
Bill Cosby hate Black people, and he hate Black children so much he decided to support R.Kelly. That's how much Bill Cosby hates Black people and Black children.
In our opinion.
In my opinion, yes. Because Bill Cosby spent all of his career in terms of my life chastising what was at the time Black children and their parents. He went and sided with R.Kelly, who just got found guilty of sex traffic and racketeering as it pertains to Black boys and girls. How he supported that, I have no idea. But he did. He found a way to say, you know what? I didn't get the chance to speak on my case, but I'm going to speak on R. Kelly's case. Wow.
Birds of a feather.
But come on.
And what's kind of heartbreaking is like y'all didn't care about R. Kelly until y'all realized he was a bisexual predator. And then,
say that again.
And then y'all were like, oh, wait a minute.
Say that again.
Y'all hate Black women and girls so much. Y'all did not care about R. Kelly being an abuser for decades until it was revealed that he was grooming boys. And y'all were like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe.
Then you draw the line in the sand.
Then you got your Boosie on and you were like, oh, wait a minute.
That's what that was such a frustrating thing for me to see. Because nobody in my age, I remember when the R. Kelly video came out, I was 15 or 16, maybe 14. So I don't know, someplace in there, I was a teenager when the video came out, and the girl was my age, right? And we had our own separate conversations about that, but nobody really drew any conclusions to anything when he married Aaliyah. And that's something we have to continuously come back to, is that she was underage. And all these niggas was like, oh, yeah, man, good for him. Right? Good for him. And then you draw the line in the sand when you find out that it wasn't, even after the documentary, even after Surviving R. Kelly, even after all this, all the shit, the dirty laundry got aired, you drew the line in the sand when you find out, oh, nah, he's messing with boys. Oh, we got to cancel R. Kelly. Why? Where was this energy beforehand? Right? That's what bothered me so much.
You have to go, Treble? Okay. But what I would say is we have this thing, not I, y'all call it red shirting, y'all, it's grooming. And at the end of the day, as the abolitionist-based organization, we have always called for people to be accountable to their past actions, their past harms, and past misdeeds, right? We understand the 80s was a wild time, the 90s was just unfiltered, all this type of stuff. Yeah. But we know better now. And what's heartbreaking is the majority of the women in the R. Kelly stuff just wanted an apology. They said they wanted to get help, and he refused. And that's why he was going so
arrogant.
Jail.
He was so arrogant to say,
and
if you were going to get me, you should have got me 20 years ago.
He admitted it, and everyone knew. And I've gone out and said this multiple times. Epstein, Kelly, Weinstein, the only reason
Kevin Spacey.
The only reason these people are getting called out is because they're not making money anymore and they're too much of a liability to their companies.
That's it.
Because, Drake has the same allegations that R. Kelly allegedly has, and people are still going after him, right? We look at Nicki Minaj right now. These people who are at their prime don't get the same pushback. right? Because they're protected. They have the machine. When they don't have the machine anymore, that's when they get to be accountable. And to also talk about what you were saying earlier, that's why people gravitate to white supremacy, because it controls them and it protects them. So if white supremacy is going to allow you to skirt off, accountability for being a predator, you're going to be a white supremacist. You're going to lean into it. You're going to hold on and consolidate that power because you know you've done messed up things. And you're doing whatever you can, right? We just watched this whole T.I. and Tiny saga go down, right? Their stuff.
I still don't know how you got out of that.
Their stuff got up, and part of it is because when it's Black women who've been abused, they're not victims; they're fast girls. They put themselves in that situation. They asked for it. They must have wanted the money or a check, and it's easy to victim blame, and it's easy to slut shame when it's the Black person because of adultism, because we don't see Black people as being innocent or in need of being protected because we see they're bigger than they are or they're more sexually advanced than they are, and then it messes with our educational system, and that's the problem. And so, yes, I would argue that R.Kelly and Bill Cosby suffer from white supremacy, have internalized white supremacy, and have embraced and benefited from white supremacy.
Bill Cosby spent the entire decade of the 70s at the Playboy Mansion chastising Black women.
And his whole entire speaking career has been as a Black elitist capitalist talking down to Black people.
Can we get into white pages now? I hate Bill Cosby.
You brought him up. I was just trying to, talk about.
I was hoping to make a couple jokes, but it didn't.
But before we get into our white pages, I feel like Treble out here being Emmy nominated. Yeah, but like he's in this space. I kind of want to know why he's in this space. Kind of know why the voice is there. I think he should talk about what he's got going on.
I'm so glad that you say that. So I am right now at the New Hazard Theater, and on Thursday you can catch the musical that we are preparing for, titled Collapsia, at 7:30. Tickets are available for purchase. I'm gonna drop the link one more time in the chat so we can share that. But come through. It's basically a play about getting the conversation or keeping the conversation going about mental health for Black and brown people, and making sure that, we're actually talking about it and not just, blaming or not victimizing, but kind of like, bringing each other down when we notice that we don't have everything we need mentally, and making sure that we have access to the resources that we need. And it's actually pretty funny. It's a nice, super comedic relief type musical. I'm gonna be singing and dancing, cracking a couple jokes, smoking some weed, doing some good shit. You
actually smoking weed on stage?
Well, I'll let you find out.
And what happens on stage stays on stage.
You feel me?
Ooh.
And this is my first time acting since 12th grade. So this is gonna be dope. You know what I'm saying? Yes.
Very dope. Very dope.
Okay.
Hell yes.
So we talked about it today. We talked about words. We talked about actions. And
those are action words are verbs.
Ooh, there we go.
Butterfly in the sky. I can fly twice as high.
Oh, I thought we were going Simone.
Oh, I was going Shaka Khan. I'm sorry.
But still Black excellence either way.
Still Black excellence.
But
Shaka Khan was just here.
She wasn't. I missed it.
I know. I had a play. I was on stage.
You're sad. Yeah. But you were good on your play.
Yeah. Thank you.
But our white pages is homegoing. We were talking about like white supremacy and how it impacts people. This is a novel, so it is fiction. But it just basically allows you to look at white supremacy from this lens of these two sisters it starts off in Africa and then moves to America. And it's about this family and the stuff that they go through. It's a really good book. I've read it a couple of times. I like it. I think it's written very well so that a person, there's no like buzzwords and stuff like that.
I like the sleeve.
It's
'cause
historical, and again,
nice.
it references different things that happen in history, but it's not like shoving things down your throat. And you just look at what happens to these families, and it's a really good book.
This big font too, really big font, so you can read it easily.
Yeah,
Look,
but
big font.
You've heard us talk about real life stuff, education. People saying the N-word at school. So like, what impact does it have on kids?
That's a great question.
How are these kids navigating these racist structures, and what are some of the answers? So
next week, I am very excited to say that we are hosting a week-long symposium from the 4th to the 8th of October, 4 to 5 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, around education. I'm going to say this right now for all the educators out there. This is Act 48 certified, so you can get your professional development hours checked off. Every day, we'll have a different conversation with local educators, faculty, and students around mental health, the digital divide in the classroom, critical race theory, real life skills. And then on Friday, we will have a culminating event where we will be premiering our documentary that we've been working on for well over a year called Student Voices, which is a authentic narrative by local students and educators about the last year in COVID, the 2020 school year, social justice, and the climate that had on the impact, or the impact that climate had on the classroom. So that'll be next Friday on the One Hood channel from 4 to 5 p.m., the Student Voices documentary, and then Monday through Thursday will be the symposium of Student Voices, what Pennsylvania needs to know about education. And we will be very excited to bring that to you. We'll have moderators from myself, Miracle Jones, the avocado farmer himself will make.
He's probably so upset with us right now, but it's fine.
Jasiri loves nature. That's why he's always in it.
And then John can post the link.
Yeah, the flyers and everything will be out there.
In the chat. There are flyers. We usually we could put them out. Do I have the flyer on my phone? I think I have the flyer. Yeah, thank you so much, Woogie. We will post those. What's in there? I don't know if you can see. Hold on. But you can see our
Student Voices PA premiere and virtual conference, just like that. Boom. Please stay tuned. Next week,
we're talking about critical race theory, y'all.
Oh yeah, I'm moderating that panel, so it's gonna be really good.
I'm talking about real world skills and the digital divide. What does it mean for our kids who are homeless? What does it mean, or homeless without shelter? What does it mean for our kids who are resettled, who may not speak English? How are we serving the needs of all of our students with disabilities, students going through mental health crises? And how are we preparing them for a world after high school and when they matriculate and go on to the next chapter of their lives, or if they can't go on to the next chapter of their lives in college or workforce development? What supports are there for people? So we're going to have these really hard, tough discussions about that.
Yeah, so stay tuned next week. It's going to be really dope. Again, all the Act 48 credits will be available for the educators that you can pass this out to all your teacher friends. It'll be all over the internet. And then we are also hosting a new website, which will be studentvoicespa.com, which will launch on Friday, 8 October, where we'll house the documentary in a jewel kit that we have for educators, for faculty, for allies, for parents, and students themselves. That everything?
I believe it is. There's probably something that we're missing, but charge to the head, not the heart. And we will see you back here next week, starting Monday.
What's the avocados from Jasiri?
Oh, where's he actually at?
I don't know.
He's actually in California.
Is he? Don't put that. What are you, the feds? We're out of here.
No, for real. He's actually in California for the Love Not Blood campaign.
Oh, that is right.
Where he is going to be working with families of people impacted by gun violence, particularly gun violence at the hands of police. So this weekend, there'll be a lot of education and advocacy going on around people who've been impacted by police gun violence. Again, the George Floyd policing bill, which was a reform bill, just stalled in Congress. And so what does it mean for all of the marching and the organizing we've done for the past year for us not to have any type of legislation? And so our hearts and prayers and thoughts and actions and deeds are with these families. And of course, our founder, as they're out there showing love, support, and solidarity. And with that, thank you so much. Remember, tomorrow on Tilt is at noon. So if you've laughed today, learned something, you're stressed out, you feel negative, tune in tomorrow at 12 o'clock. With On Tilt and with Mama Brown, Julius Boatwright, as we talk about the state of mental health right now. Have some words of encouragement and support for you all. So thank you so much, and y'all have a great evening. Go get the last bit of sun rays, out there before it gets too dark, because winter is here and it's dark outside early.
To the whitest house. Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. They suck the blood of the poor and they wipe their mouth. The last gas of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the whitest house, where every room is a tomb that they lie about. Where you can put your filthy feet on the finest couch, and for the right amount, you can even